Hello, I'm Lowell Dillon, and this is my interview with Mike McCready, the lead guitarist from the legendary rock band Pearl Jam. Mike was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when he was 21, and he spent decades touring and playing music, all while living with IBD. Mike is an outspoken advocate for IBD awareness and research. He uses his music and visibility to help reduce the stigma and support the patient community. Please enjoy the interview. Hi, Mike. How's it going? How are you today?
Hello, Lowell. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm not having any kind of Crohn's attack or anything right now, so that's exciting. Medications
Lovely.
seem to
Glad
be
to hear it.
knock on wood.
So happy to have you here. Mike McCready, lead guitarist and Pearl Jam musician. You have Crohn's disease.
Yes.
So happy to talk to you today.
Thanks for I'm happy to be here. I love your organization and your mom and your family, and thank you for having me. I've had
Of
Crohn's since I was
course.
21, so
Of course, it's an
had it for
honor.
a long time. But
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have much to discuss then. Let me start with when were you diagnosed and how sort of what did you feel when you got diagnosed with Crohn's? You could start
I
there.
was diagnosed in 1987, and I was living in Los Angeles, trying to make it in a band down there. I was super poor, not taking care of myself probably very much. And I remember I was at a restaurant, I was eating some food, and all of a sudden I had to use the bathroom very quickly, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was food poisoning. And it meant very quickly. So I'm running to hit in the bathroom, knocking on, smashing on the door, and a friend of mine's in there, and I'm like, I've got to go right now, and whatever. So, anyways, luckily I made it in there, and I thought it was maybe food poisoning or something, and it didn't go away. So, I got diagnosed about a week and a half later I guess it would have been the middle of 1987 with Crohn's colitis. It was kind of a mixture of it. It might have been ulcerative colitis at that time, and they put me on prednisone and Azicol, and I think that's the only thing they had back then. And that's I've been on this journey ever since then. And that it started in 1987 though.
Yeah, back in the dark ages of
Way dark ages, yeah,
mm,
yeah,
um, was there any sort of obviously at that time there's not a lot of information out there about Crohn's. So,
yeah.
did you have a sort of support system, or were you able to find information about it easily? Um, uh,
No,
yeah,
I I didn't know anybody who had it. And to answer your question earlier about how I felt, I thought this was like a death sentence. I didn't know. I was 21 years old. And I was, I trying to make it in a band, and all of a sudden I thought all my dreams are over with. And it actually, it actually worked out in a weird way. If I go on a side tangent, it made me come back to Seattle, and I got a call from Stone after I came back to Seattle. So, Crohn's. I look at it in hindsight now. When I had it, I was terrified, and it hurt, and it was awful and embarrassing. I look at it now; it brought me back to Seattle, and had I not gotten sick, I might have stayed in LA, and I never would have been in a band. I never would have been in this situation because it did bring me down so badly, painfully, that I had to come back to Seattle. Back then I didn't know anybody that had it. I was just embarrassed by it, and I'd shit myself, and I just didn't know. Everybody would say, "Hey man, can't you just take an Imodium or something?" I'm like, "No."
did you try talking to people about it?
I was
Whoever.
too embarrassed by it. No, I
Yeah.
didn't. I really, I would try to tell them what it was like, but as people that don't have it don't really understand. To
Right.
they can be compassionate and helpful and things, but they don't know the urgency and how much it hurts and how embarrassing that is and how you have to change your schedule around and what you eat. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially back then when it was so
yeah.
unknown disease, pretty
And
much.
now now we're talking about it, and there's ads on TV. I saw one last night. None of that was out there. The only person I found out later was this guy he was a place kicker named Ralph Benirchka. He was the first guy I heard that had it.
Okay.
And this was way later. I mean, I didn't deal with it for a long time other than take the prednisone and the Azicol, and that had its ups and downs the whole time. So,
Yeah, no, I bet. Interesting. When did you start? I mean, do you get obviously there's a whole mental aspect to having Crohn's and mental health. And at that time, when you got diagnosed, that wasn't really being met with any
yeah.
doctors wouldn't talk about that. It's just we're going to give you this medication. maybe it'll get better. I guess I wanted to ask sort of when in your journey did you sort of start having more of a like, you know, holistic approach or sort of thinking about how you feel, not
Mhm.
just having Crohn's and taking medication for it, but sort of how everything affects how you feel and um, uh, integrating other techniques other than medication into your treatment, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think that when I really started thinking about it in a different way was when Ashley, my wife, pushed me to find somebody to talk to about. This was, years later, around 2000, sorry, about 2002, 2003, to find somebody in Seattle, Washington that knew that, like, if there was an organization, and it was the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America back then, and there was like four people, and they were in Seattle. That's when I started talking about it and coming out about it. And because of her, honestly, she was tired of me complaining about it. So she's like, we've got to go do something about this. And bless her for that, because it opened my life up into a whole different direction. Some of the things I feel like that I have gotten from it, from the pain of it, I feel like it's influenced my playing. I feel like I play with I know I play with more feeling because of it, because I counter it with music, I guess. I don't know, in terms of a therapeutic thing.
Yeah,
Um, I've never really gone to a therapy about it, but I have talked to a lot of people about it,
yeah.
honestly. Not that I would totally do that. I would go to therapy about it. And
Talk.
I guess I probably have on smaller levels, but just been involved in a lot of stuff that I've gotten to meet people like your mom and your whole organization, because I made that first step a long time ago, and that made it easier is
Mhm.
to deal with.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about your guitar playing if well, first I was gonna ask when you are not feeling good, do you play guitar? Like, is that something you're able to do when you're not feeling good, or when you're not feeling good, do you just kind of
Um,
withdraw,
it's
curl up a bit and not really want to? Because
kind of half and half of that.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
me
it's
personally, I always want to, I in my mind I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go do things that I like to do or whatever. But then when you're not feeling good in the moment, you just don't want to do anything.
yeah. And you're right about that. And it's real easy for me to be professor positive about everything right now because I'm not sick. But when I'm kind of sick, I get super negative. I can be hard to be around. I'm just depressed. And to get out of that, it's hard until I feel better. Honestly, I have to think that there's something that there's a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Um, but and yeah, I guess if I'm sick, yeah, I do play because I've been sick on the road before, and I've had to play through it to big crowds. One of those stories was I was your mom had brought up, and if you want me to tell, I can tell right now, was we were opening up for the Rolling Stones, who are my favorite band on the planet, in Oakland in the 90s, like 93, I think. And I was about to go on stage, about 20 minutes for, and you have to be on time when you're playing with the Stones because they run a tight ship. But at any rate, about 20 minutes, 30, 10 minutes, it's getting closer to getting on. All of a sudden, I have a total Crohn's attack, and I've got to go. And I'm running around backstage looking for anything. And we're on this giant stage. We run, I find a porta potty, and it's locked. And luckily, my guitar tech finds another guy that knows the thing, whatever. And I'm about to shit myself. And I'm like, this is fucking awful. I'm not going to be able to get on stage. So I went to the guys and I said, can you guys, I can't get on stage right now because I'm having a Crohn's attack or whatever. I'm going to shit myself or whatever. You know, I've got to go now. I can't get on stage. Can we open up with a song called Sometimes, which is, I'm not really on that song. So I basically got in the bathroom or the porta potty, and I had my guitar in there, and I could hear my band starting to play the song while I'm in there just trying to just evacuate everything and in pain, and just kind of going fuck, and then I got out and I finished the set. But that was my first time opening up for my favorite band, and I couldn't be on stage for the first song with them. So that kind of stuff has happened, periodically all throughout my whole career.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I bet obviously comes with a lot of anxiety
oh
too.
yeah. I mean, it's the anxiety I've gotten from that has been, and I was thinking about it earlier today. I certainly have, I still have it to this day, you know? It just changes if I'm working out or if I'm feeling better, or if I'm spiritually connected, or, it gets
Yeah,
better, you know?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What kinds of things do you do when you're on the road to just take care of yourself, or do you do anything to prepare before you go on the road?
You
Um,
know,
you know,
oh, go ahead.
or yeah, you could go
What do
first.
I do? You know, oh, gosh, I've had it for so long. I'm trying to think of things. I've always got to know where a bathroom is. The other thing called bathroom awareness that we all know about. So there's that, and I eat very healthy on the road. That helps. Sometimes I don't, but I try to eat as healthy as possible. And when I'm in remission, I work out, and I do. I try to take care of my body. I care about all that stuff. In the early 90s, I didn't care about any of that stuff. For some reason, I was partying and all sorts of craziness. I don't know how I got through all that. But now, over the last 22, 30 years, 20, I try to take care of myself, to the best of my ability, and that's eating right, eating what makes me feel okay. And taking that seriously, I guess. Try to
Yeah,
stay hydrated.
yeah, and everyone, has to find what works for them,
Right.
because Crohn's is so everyone's IBD is so different, and yeah, everything is so different for everyone.
What do
Uh,
you do?
what do I do when
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well?
Yeah.
Sometimes I play piano, which can be fun.
Awesome.
I play a lot of chess. Actually, chess is something that helps when I'm not feeling.
Really?
I'm
Because
not.
you're like planning out the next moves and you're kind of not in
Yeah,
the.
you got to think ahead, and it's I think the competitiveness aspect of it is good for me, and that also like just that I'm in the mindset that I want to win, not
Yeah.
just I mean it's ultimately just taking your mind off of it and having something really good that you can focus all of your attention into, and that really just you can change. I've found you can get through something. You can get through a lot by mentally being uh, prepared and not having. I got lost there.
No,
And
no, I get it. I mean, I love that you said chess. I've never thought about it that way, in terms of, and I probably use the guitar in that way, what you're saying, same thing, like you said, piano, to
I
to get
actually,
to get out of
I,
that process
I,
of sickness.
I actually listen to. I mean, listening to music helps.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of my questions I was going to ask is what kind of music do you listen to? Maybe when you're not feeling well, if anything at all specifically.
Oh my God. I mean, I'll listen to anything. I'll listen to your grandpa. I'll listen to, Buckets of Rain. I'll listen to, gosh, what else? Jason Isbell, I love a lot. Dylan, of course. I listen to the Stones. I'm stuck in the 60s, 70s, 80s era of music. So I will listen to, stuff a lot of Beatles, some that Beatles helps. I was always more of a Stones guy, but Beatles for sure. Yeah,
You-
kind of that stuff that I feel like I can learn stuff from.
I think probably spent 3 years of my life just listening to the Beatles and not any other music at all.
I get it. I'm in
Which
that phase right now, and I'm way older than you, so it's funny.
that phase never ends,
Yeah.
as someone once told me, the Beatles phase never ends. What kind of support did you get when you were in Pearl Jam, either from your bandmates or from fans?
Luckily, I mean, my band, they're my brothers. They didn't understand the full context of it, but they were very empathetic about it, and understood that we had to change things at times, and rolled with it if I had to, like in that Rolling Stone situation. They were all like, "Oh, of course, yeah, okay, whatever you need." What kind of food we actually got a chef after that, and we're a band that can afford that, luckily, to make healthier meals. I feel like that happened right around, when I really came out and started talking about having Crohn's. So tons of support from the fans. I'll see signs that, hey, I've got an ostomy or this or that, or people that are showing me that, that they have Crohn's or colitis, and will talk to. I'm always meeting somebody on the road that's, but someone's brother has it, someone and how they deal with it. So I can, I will have conversations. Well, what do they take for it, and how are they feeling? And, so that helps me feel connected to the community of the Crohn's and colitis kind of thing that we have. Um, so yeah, fans have been enormously supportive, as has my band and my wife, and I'm very lucky to have that around me, and that means everything, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you know that. It's like people that don't have it but are empathetic and love you and want the best for you will try to help you with that.
Do you think that since you've been open with your IBD, do you think people sort of connect or relate to your music in a different way?
I hope so. I hope our music or my playing or whatever has some sort of a healing thing for people, like other music does for me. Um, gosh, so I hope that their knowledge of me having Crohn's makes their life a little bit easier, maybe, and that's all I can hope for. And if I've done that much, then I feel like I've done my job. But I will always be available to talk about those things. And I, I, I love hearing people's stories about having Crohn's. I mean, I don't love that they have it, but I like to hear how they deal with it, like how you deal with it. You play chess, you play piano. Those are things that I need to hear because I have my ways of doing it, but I'm always open to new things. I need the connection of what we're doing now for my healing, selfishly.
Yeah, music is obviously so important. It really can bring community together, especially you opening up and talking about having Crohn's along with, other celebrities slash athletes who have it. It's inspiring just to see people functioning in the world, doing these incredible things with IBD. As a young person with IBD, it's really, really, really has been important in my life to see people succeeding and doing things that that normal people do, but also doing it in a way that is informed by their Crohn's, which is
Yeah, yeah. I,
which,
I I get the same feeling. So you're telling me about the kind of the sports guys that you interviewed. That's cool that could be looked at in the sports world as like that. That could be something that would be working against you or something, but yet they're successful in it. And I guess that could be the same with music or anything in life, you
yeah,
know. It can
yeah.
work against you or you can work with it or so I heard someone say once, I don't live with Crohn's. Crohn's lives with me, and I always like that phrase because that shows that it doesn't define me.
Right. It's a
Yeah,
part of it.
it's
Yeah,
part of me. Yeah.
exactly.
Whereas for years it defined me. In terms of my
Yeah.
anxieties, my fear, everything when I wasn't dealing with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's very hard to separate out the when you're really not feeling good and everything just feels like it's that. It's very hard to separate out the Crohn's and the sickness from the
Yeah.
person, these other things that you actually are. If you had anything to tell your younger self being diagnosed with Crohn's when you were 21 years old,
Mhm.
uh, if knowing what you know now with your experience and learnings and everything, what would you say to yourself being diagnosed at 21?
I would say you're not going to die. Don't try to have less anxiety about all of this. Don't care as much what people think about you. Maybe like, try to just try to exist, with this condition and go try to figure out solutions to it and not be defeated by it.
Mhm.
Whereas many years I felt I was, emotionally, physically defeated by it. I wish I could have had a better attitude about it. I mean, that's hindsight for sure, but I was terrified, and I probably to not be so terrified.
Sort of similar question, but what about a young person, aspiring musician with IBD?
Yeah,
Any industry insider tips or anything?
I would say, yeah, as a young person that has IBD and that is trying to do anything in the music business or any type of art, use it for your art. Use the pain, and use that pain, and put it into your art. And don't let it use you. You can create something where people will gravitate towards it because everyone has pain, you know? And if you can create something beautiful out of that pain, whether it's a song, whether it's a painting, whether it's piano, that's and people gravitate toward it and you get something out of it spiritually, then that's what I would say. Use your pain, which is really easy to say again when I'm not curled up in bed and in pain.
Right.
So I always want to say that, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess I'm trying to say.
All right. I'm gonna do a couple quick questions, quick answers. What is your favorite Beatles song?
Oh God, my son just
Today.
asked me that last night, and
Today. Today.
hey, tomorrow never knows.
Okay. I
Or
can.
rain. I can't just do one. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Tomorrow never knows because it's so cutting edge for the time and so weird. And
I was worried about asking you this question because I thought you might just not be able to, or maybe you just go on forever. But I don't
I mean, I can tell you my favorite Stone song is Sway, and it always has been. But this
know.
Beatles, it's another one. Yeah. But I'm gonna say Tomorrow Never Knows. I'll stick with that.
Did you do you have a Beatles song that you can think of that maybe influenced you more than others, or you feel like you connect to more than others for any particular reason?
So Pearl Jam, we used to connect to, we used to play I've Got a Feeling a lot. We did
Okay.
that was an early cover. That was the first cover we ever did, actually. And
That's
we
my
had,
mom's favorite song, actually.
oh, nice. Well, I'm kind of with her on that. So that we did that when we just had our first record out, and we were just, even before we had our first record, we would play that. We'd have the songs that are on 10 and I Got a Feeling. That's it for our set. So I'd probably say that, you know.
Okay. Yeah,
Rain too, because sometimes we do Rain, and I love Rain because it's a cool song. So again, it's so hard, but good question.
yeah. All right.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
My
Before that,
favorite Beatles song. I'll go with not an easy question.
no, right?
Um,
Today.
today. One after 909.
Oh, that's yeah.
Just because I like
You like
the
the
top performance. I like the bit where George and Billy Preston go back and forth with the little
yeah.
song. It's good. It's a good bit.
I
Uh,
love in that documentary how John Lennon wanted to have Billy Preston in the band.
that was great. When Billy Preston's in the documentary, and yeah, they're like, we just need to get all we need is a guy who sits here and plays piano, like Nicky Hopkins or someone, and then
Yeah,
Billy Preston. Just
both of those guys are my heroes in piano for sure. Like Nicky Hopkins, oh my God, I love both of them. So.
Sympathy for the Devil.
Seasons.
That would be my favorite Stone song if I was asked,
Symphony, right? Okay, yeah.
probably.
A friend of mine used to say it's a song and a history lesson at the same time.
Yeah, sort of, sure.
I mean,
Although
kind of,
there's probably
Anastasia screamed in vain. She was the daughter of the Tsar, and she was killed. And I never knew what the troubadours in Bombay was, but all the
yeah,
rest.
you could probably get a better history lesson from another band. But it's
Yeah,
not bad.
song and a history lesson. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
uh,
killer beat.
amazing. The guitar sound on the Sympathy for the Devil is really
Oh yeah,
when I listened to that, I was like, "Ooh, the sharpness of it is really
I love
something."
the percussion of it too. Like
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and there's bongos in there too, and there's all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, 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 amazing. But mostly the Beatles.
Yeah.
Mostly. Thank you, Mike, so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
Um,
thanks for having
check out Dark Matter, everyone.
me. Oh yeah.
Because why not throw a plug in there?
Hey, yeah, that was a really fun record to make. We had a blast. We made that one down in LA with Andrew Watt, and I had a blast with that one. So really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
You got it. All right.